What it do, y'all? Happy New Year, 2023. We made it. Can y'all believe it? Another year, another setting, another challenge, another growth, ways that we can focus and just put ourselves forward on what we want to achieve. So I just want to say, first off, thank you to everyone that have stepped on this platform and talked your barbership. Without y'all, this platform wouldn't be where it's at now. It's amazing to have created something that people are gravitating to, want to share knowledge and give knowledge back in this field. From barbers, hairstylists, makeup artists. I have plans to really do something different this year where I'm collectively bringing a lot more other people from this field where we all mesh together. So that's one of my goals for this year. Not goals, I want to say accomplishments that I'm not setting goals anymore. I just want to push forward and achieve things that's possible. And sometimes when you do goals, sometimes you put goals out there, but you never actually work really hard to, make these goals come true because a lot of obstacles come in the way and it kind of shifts you off of that path and that road that you're on. So, but I have these things that I really want to do and I really want to put together. And I'm looking for these opportunities. And I have a special guest, and each one of you guys are always a special guest. I'm looking forward to this conversation this morning, and yeah, we're gonna really let him talk his barber shit. And yeah, I just want to get on here a little bit earlier before he jumps on to let you guys know how much I appreciate you guys, how much I'm looking forward to keep moving this forward. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey from the time that I have started this to where it's at now, and to see how it's really been catching on and really blossoming and growing. More about what I'm doing is creating more content, creating more products. You see it. I've been pushing this since COVID hit. It was kind of hard to really walk up to people with everything that was going on and passing out cards or really getting close to people. So, I created a product that let people know, what I was about. I was a barber. So, I created barber hats. Now, you see the shirts, it's a lot of things that I have, planned to do in this year and moving forward. So what we all here for and what is mostly important is to share information, give guidance. I know when I was walking out, especially through COVID, it was kind of hard to really connect with a lot of people. So I created this platform where I can really shift a lot of things and really have that one-on-one and hear how, people are moving and moving forward, and what I can take from it and kind of help myself keep pushing myself forward, how to build clientele, how to financially have my money in order, how to, market myself with, or the stage that we at now with social media, how to keep doing this and showing others that are coming out of school and want to know how they can really, make this business work for them. And this is what this is. This is why I call it Talk Your Barbershop, because it's about knowledge. It's about information. It's not about negativity. It's not about crushing someone in this industry and making others feel like they're not worthy. We all worthy. We all can capitalize. We all can make wealth. We all can come together and build platforms and show guidance and show leadership. And that's what it's about. So I see my boy on Faded Ink. So let's jump into it.
Boom. Yeah. Get it set up right here.
All right, do your thing, man. Get set up, get comfortable.
Make sure we're good. There we go. All right. Yo,
How you doing, man? What's up, Rory?
how's it going, man? I got my camera flipped around. I'm debating. I think I'm gonna flip it again because I can't see you. Hold up.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing with IG. You gotta have the face set. Cause I could see the shot very well. It's a nice setup. I love it. I love the chair. Yeah. So, are you working today, or you just decided to, set this up at the shop? Can you hear me?
We good?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. Yeah, I hope this thing doesn't time out. So I broke my tripod on my last trip that I was teaching classes down in Charlottesville and Harrisonburg, Virginia, and
Okay.
I left the top piece of my tripod. So now I got this thing all rigged up here with my ring light.
Okay.
So yeah, man, everything's good. I'm packing my bags when I leave here today. I'm flying out to Las Vegas. That's my first big event in 2023. So I'm looking forward to this year. I appreciate you actually having me on. I'm excited because the questions you sent were so good. I feel like, people nowadays have such a big advantage because of these questions, because they're getting insight into years and years and years and different perspectives. So yeah, the questions were good. And I think that anybody that's out there watching this or watches it at a later time off your page will definitely find a lot of value.
I appreciate that, man. It means a lot. And I don't know if you caught when I first jumped on, me just explaining what the direction is this definitely all about, to have people like yourself that really challenged the industry, really brought out front of like what they want to give, how they want to, share their information of their journey, and they get to this point to where they can give back. And I see that with your page and how you go to these platforms, these stages, and you share all the information of how to cut, how to market yourself, how to, really stand out front and not stand behind. Because you can be behind the chair, but you can still stand out front and do so much more. And that's what, made me want to like reach out to you and say, hey, I would love for you to come to this platform and share your story. So
No, I appreciate that. I mean, we put out a lot of content on Instagram, and sometimes it's always like photos or reels of haircuts.
yeah.
And lately I've been doing little clips from classes where we're giving out some tips and tricks and advice and tools and techniques.
Yeah.
So I think those are really good, because when we put out something like that, it gets a lot of response because people are looking for that education. They're hungry for that knowledge.
Yeah.
So if we can give them little pieces here and there, and make them a little more dangerous, that's what it's about.
Exactly. And what I love more and what I see more with your page, you cut straight hair. And I know I'm dipping and dabbing in that industry as well, where I want to learn how to really make sure how the hair layers correctly when you're doing shears and you're doing scissor cuts and stuff like that. So I've been checking out your videos, and I've definitely been learning how to really angle and these like, I love your page. I love what you're doing, what you're sharing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And likewise, I've been watching some of the interviews that you've been having with some of these people that may not be the biggest names in the industry, but they have so much experience and value, and everything they're saying is on point.
Yeah.
So I've been watching those videos of these interviews, and I'm like, I agree with them. There's some things that they say that I never thought about. Yeah. So again, it's valuable what you're doing. So I commend you for that.
Thank you, man. So let's get into it. This platform is about you. It's like me giving my flowers to people that I see that are doing it and doing it well, and I don't want you guys to not be noticed, and I want to give as much exposure as I can to what you guys are doing. So, tell me, like, what was that first day when you picked up them clippers and them shears and said, "Hey, this is the role for me"?
Man, I mean, I've been cutting hair since 1993. So I have some time behind the chair, in various capacities too, right? Like, I obviously I've leaned more towards education,
Mm-hmm.
in the later part of my career, but in the beginning, it was just cutting friends and family. I think barbering, to really encompass what barbering is, I think it's about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you look at somebody that is wealthy, or somebody that has a lot of money or has a lot of toys, you look at that person and you're like, okay, that person has a lot of zeros in their bank account, or at least they seem that way, right? But when you look at a barber, you see people rich. You,
Yeah.
you you see somebody that knows everybody in their community and has a person in every industry that would love to help them out if they need it.
Yeah.
Or that person who connects people from different industries, right?
Yeah.
So I always say, I may not be, money rich per se, but I'm definitely people rich. I got a guy for everything, and that's what I think barbering is all about. We make people look good, and in turn they want to take care of us with their skill sets and their industries.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Let's.
But
Oh, no, no. Continue.
yeah, I started really young, man. I cut hair actually illegally with no license for over 10 years, like many people.
Yeah.
I've always been artistic type brain, always been into graffiti and music and anything artistic, anything that's visual. I didn't have uh, like a barber college that I could go to get a license at that time. I looked up to barbers in my neighborhood. It started with my grandfather. My grandfather used to take me to the barber shop when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, on a Saturday where there's a line of people sitting on the bench waiting their turn. And I was in that line of people sitting on that bench waiting my turn, and I was watching what the barbers were doing. And I was fascinated by that. My grandfather used to take me. So I would sit there and wait my turn because it was a walk-in style place, and I would see people looking really bad. And with that little time that they had with the barber, I would see them transform. I would see their confidence grow. I would see them look like a completely different person. And I was fascinated by that. My Aunt Carol, when she was, when she would, I was very close to all my cousins. I was the youngest in my household. My mom was living in the house with her two brothers and two sisters, my grandmother and my grandfather, and then there was me. So I was the youngest in the house. And my aunt actually bought a set of clippers for my cousin Anthony, and I stole them. He wasn't going to use it. I was the artist. And I cut him and his two brothers with those clippers, to say the least. I paid them off that way with many haircuts. But yeah, I stole my first set of clippers at the age of 14. Cutting kids in my neighborhood. I only knew how to cut, people that were around me at that point. I didn't have any education. I didn't really know how to use shears. I was a clipper jockey. In my barbershops, when I was in high school, the barbershops that I would go to, one of my barbers, he was known, and he's known to this day in the industry. His name is Johnny. He goes by the handle Stay Caked, and he's Jay-Z's barber. He's Pharrell's barber. But he was my barber first. And I looked up to him because he was using shears. He was using the straight razor. He was doing things that I didn't see in that barbershop that I was getting haircuts with my grandfather. And then also the whole, you look up to people because of, what they're doing, or their status, or their car, or their jewelry, or whatever. I grew up looking up to people that had the girls and the money and the cars and all that stuff, just like many barbers do. And he was one of the people that was making money legally. He was making money with his craft, with his hands, and I always tell people, you could be broke and still put money in your pocket that same day if you have the skill. My dad called me yesterday, actually. I haven't, I couldn't believe that he called me. He called me out of the blue, and I was like, what does this guy want? He just called me up, and he was like, your brothers are wasting money. I have 4 brothers. 3 of them live with my dad, and he's like, your brothers are wasting money because they're going out and they're paying $35 or whatever it is to get haircuts. Why can't you teach them to cut each other's hair? That's what he was telling me yesterday. And you're talking, I've been doing this almost 30 years, and I'm getting a phone call yesterday from my dad talking about teach my brothers how to cut hair. And I said, listen, if they want, I can do that. I go, but that's something that looks easy, takes a lot of practice, you know? But yeah, like I said, you know, even today I'm learning things, you know, even, you know, being in the level that I'm at now where, you know, I've seen a lot of the industry and I've met a lot of great people and I've, you know, worked with so many different types of people. I'm still learning something every day. I'm still learning things daily. You know, I'll teach a class somewhere and then somebody in the audience will show me something.
Right.
You know? So I definitely believe in being a lifelong learner. Yeah. You know, there is no ceiling, there is no there. The moment you think you're there, you're dead. You
Correct.
know? And so doing platforms like this where we're sharing information, I think is important because it inspires me, it inspires other people, and that's how we keep building off each other, you know? Yeah.
No, I mean, that was what I wanted and what I wanted to have you share and give your audience, like the breakdown of how long it takes, where you have to start, where you have to go through the trenches to get where you at now. And from your story, you're sharing the heartache, the struggle, but then the glory of where you are now, and with that you shared that I still want to keep going and I still want to keep building information, and as long as I'm sharing information and I can get information back, this industry will keep going and keep moving forward no matter what. You know, it's funny because I feel like you shared it already, but I always want to go back to the question.
Go back to the questions.
Yeah, maybe now, like, you know, even with what you're doing now, where you go into these facilities and you're walking on stage and you see these crowds of new faces and new people in this industry now, where we can step on stage and share so much of our journey and share much of ourselves personally. Like, what is that like? And is it always like before you walk on that stage, you have that if moment, like, oh, did I prepare myself today? Am I ready to go out here? And how can I make this stick to someone that's looking at me for guidance and information that I hope that once I walk off that stage, I did my part?
Yeah. One of the questions you asked me is like, what was something that I felt I should have learned earlier on, or that, you know, what was one of those, you know, things that I saw happening with barbering, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of ego in the barber world, right? Because it's vanity. We're making people look good, so people, you know, start feeling themselves. There's competition. They work in a shop alongside other people, and you know, it's just friendly competition at times. Sometimes it gets a little out of hand. But I think one of the biggest things that I realized I didn't want to have happen to me was I didn't want to become the person that cuts hair that thinks I'm a star, and that I forget about the person in the chair. The person in the chair is the star, you know, because we're in the service industry. We're here to serve them. And sometimes when you get a lot of clients, you become busy, you feel like you could treat people differently. You could maybe, you know, not answer the phone, not pick up the phone, not text somebody back. Maybe when somebody comes in, you don't have time for them, or all that kind of, you know, now you're thinking like, they need me, I'm the star. And I think ego is not your amigo. I think you have to be able to check that. It's okay to be confident. It's okay to know your worth. It's okay to have, you know, value in what you do, but never forget that we're in the service industry and that we speak from behind the chair, not above it. Right? That's what I like to say. Because
I like that.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. You know, look at hip hop, right? Where it gets competitive. Everybody thinks they're the best MC. Everybody thinks that they have the best albums, the best music, right? But really, it's about your audience. It's about the people listening to your music and coming and buying those concert tickets or streaming those, songs or whatever have you. And again, they're on a platform like we are, but they, again, rise to these levels of superstardom. And that happens in our industry. We look up to some of these barbers in our industry, but why are those barbers in a position that they're in? I don't think it's because of one dimension, meaning they're good at cutting hair. I think it's many different levels and skill sets that you have to work on in order to be able to have public speaking skills or discipline or business acumen where you can actually move like that. I don't think everybody understands that. I think that when somebody gets busy behind the chair, they think that naturally the next thing they need to do is become an educator. And I think that's easier said than done. I think if somebody really truly wants to be an educator, they need to practice delivering information. They need to practice what's valuable and how can I give that to somebody in a pill-sized form where they can digest that, right? In a quick, easy manner, right? But then also, do I have the discipline to do all these things with the calendar, be on time, all these different things that come, maybe go unnoticed, right? Because they'll see me in a video clip on Instagram teaching at a class somewhere, but then they don't realize, I took 13 and a half hours to get to that place, right? And very little sleep and windshield time and airport and hotel and all these things that are not glamorous. And that's the hard work that people don't see. And I think they just see the end result and they think, oh, I could do that, especially when they have somebody in front of them that makes it look easy.
Facts. Yeah.
Right? And it's not easy. It takes practice. I think one of the questions that I wanted to make sure I answered was, you said, if I could go back in time, right, and talk to my younger self, what would I say or what would I do differently? Not that I regret it, but what could I have done better, right? Yeah. And I think that's a great question because people are just starting out and they could do these things right now. Yeah, right. And so one of the things that I think I would do personally, I would invest my money into my craft, my tools, everything that I need to operate, okay, first and foremost. Then when I start making money, I will save that money. And my father-in-law, he calls it paying yourself first. And I love that. You got to pay yourself first. Yeah, you got bills, you got rent, you got all these things, but you got to pay yourself first. What does that mean? That means that you got to take some of that money. You got this amount of money. You take this amount and you tuck it and you pay yourself first, meaning you save that money. Maybe you invest that money. Maybe you put that money away in a 401k. Maybe you put that money into an IRA. Maybe you put that money into a savings account. But that's not money that you're counting on. That's money that you're putting away consistently. Over time, you'll be able to set yourself up for things like retirement and things that barbers typically don't have because they're always looking week to week. Check. They're not looking 30 years later. What am I going to retire on, right? How can I set up college for my kids and things like that? I think that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to go back and do is be more disciplined about how I invest in myself and my craft so that I can get better quicker versus taking longer and having to do things with tools that maybe are not the best or maybe doing techniques that are not the best for a longer period of time. Maybe I invest and took classes and invest in tools and things like that in my own craft from the very beginning. Not, oh, I'm going to get there, I'll do that later. Next year when I start making more money, I'll do that. No, you do that from the very beginning. And then also, like I said, budgeting and investing, saving your money for the future. I think a lot of us fail to realize that because one thing we can never get back is time.
Yeah, you hitting it right on the button today. Let me ask you this: is your establishment where you're at now, is that just a suite, or do you have other chairs in there as well?
So my journey, I worked in barbershops where there was like 5 chairs, walk-in style, bunch of people there, in and out. Some people not even getting haircuts, they're just, you know, whatever, selling stuff or just hanging out. And to me, I'm a person that I can be distracted very easily.
Okay.
So for me, I needed to be able to separate myself from all that.
Okay.
And focus just on my guests, right? And so I did those type operations for a while. I worked in different shops, multiple shops, and I learned from other guys, and there was pros and cons about being in a shop environment.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say. Then, you know, I was in the military right out of high school. So in the military, we have all different types of people.
Yeah.
And that's where I got experience on all different types of hair. And I started to understand how to work with all different types of hair. You know, and I still wasn't really good with shears at that point. I was more clippers, but I was cutting straight hair, curly hair, you know, every type of person you could think of. And one of the barbers on board the ship that I was stationed on heard about me. And I wasn't a barber in the military. I dealt with intelligence. I had a top secret clearance. You know, I was doing more IT work.
Yeah.
But I hated how they cut hair, because in the military, the haircuts are terrible. It's like no hair, thick hair. Right?
Yeah.
Right? It's like one side's higher than the other. There's no blend. It's not about style, right?
Yeah.
It's about maintenance, right?
Yeah.
And so I found myself, you know, from where I'm from New Jersey originally. And so where I grew up, you know, when you look at New Jersey, you look at it as like North Jersey or South Jersey, right? North Jersey's New York, South Jersey is Philly, right?
Yeah.
So where I'm from in North Jersey is like barbershops everywhere. Everybody looks fresh. You know, we got a lot of successful people from New York living in New Jersey now, and vice versa. So to me, I looked at all these barbers and I learned very quickly what quality hair looked like. And then in the military, I didn't see that. And so I started cutting the guys on my ship because I took pride in how I looked and how they looked.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the ship's barber heard about me and gave me the keys to the barbershop. And then I started cutting all the officers, even the captain of my ship.
Okay.
When I got out of the military, I used my GI Bill to pay for hair school.
Okay.
Okay. So you're fast forwarding almost like 11 years of cutting hair raw. Somebody walked into the barbershop that looked like they might be a state board inspector. I would sit down and I'll act like I was waiting for a haircut.
Yeah.
And then they'd leave, I go back to work, right? But one day they came in and they fined 3 of the barbers $250 fine, first offense. Second offense, if you got caught twice, it was $1,000 fine and up to 30 days in jail. Yeah, you can go to jail in New Jersey practicing with no license. So I used my GI Bill to pay for hair school. Hair school was cosmetology. It was Paul Mitchell. And so it opened my eyes to a whole other world. Now I'm learning shear techniques. Now I'm learning customer service. Now I'm learning product knowledge. Now I'm learning how big and beautiful our industry is, because all I knew was my little barber shop in my neighborhood, right? And those dudes that I looked up to, right? Now I'm exposed to this whole other world, which, you know, I was already artistic, but now I'm getting foundation. Now I'm getting technical skills, business skills, all of these things, right? And when I combine both of those, now I'm dangerous, right? Graduating cosmetology school made me an animal in so many ways.
Yeah.
Number one, it showed me what was possible. Number two, it gave me skills that I could use, okay? Number three, it gave me a network where I could see bigger than my neighborhood. I had those relationships all across the country, now internationally, right?
Yeah.
And so naturally I progressed, I evolved, right? And not always on my journey, when people think of a timeline or a journey of a career, they think it's linear, right? They think it's like, you start here, you got here, then you ended up here. No, it's like a heartbeat, man. It's like ups and downs, peaks and valleys, right?
Yeah.
And so there's times where you have to evolve. There's times where you have to pivot, you know? So for me, I was like, let me get up out of New Jersey. Let me do something with my life. I was barbering for a while, and, you know, again, some of the things that are pitfalls or some of the relationships that I had weren't the best. Yeah. So I decided to move, right? And I moved to Virginia, where I live now. Yeah. And I was going to work for the government, man. They were offering me a lot of money to do some IT work. Maybe it wouldn't have been something I was passionate about, but I was going to be paid well, right? Yeah. Yeah. And I had just got down to the DC area. One of my homeboys was down here doing it. He had, you know, set up this job with top secret clearance. And so while I was waiting for all that to kick in, I was shopping in the mall and I saw the Paul Mitchell sign. And I said, oh, let me go buy some shampoo.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and it was a school.
Mm.
Now, it was a lot nicer than the school that I went to. The year was 2006, okay? I'm from New Jersey. People can tell right away when I talk, you know, right away I'm different. And they were like, well, giving me a tour, showing me around the whole building. At the end of the tour, they were like, what do you think about our school? They wanted to sign me up as a student.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I was like, I graduated from Paul Mitchell. They're like, they're like, well, what do you do? I was like, I'm a barber. They're like, we don't have anybody that can teach that. Can you come in and maybe do a demo for us, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, in cosmetology school, barbering and men's grooming, you know, clipper work, it's not the focus. In fact, they're very scared of it. They don't really have, you know, a lot of experienced instructors for that. That's a minority category. Like, that's something very small percentage of your time in beauty school, if you go to a cosmetology school, will be focused on anything barber related. Now it's a little different.
Yeah, I'm in Cosmo right now. So
so you know, they're incorporating it more right now, but they needed somebody that could do that. None of the instructors felt qualified or experienced or confident in doing that. I came in on a Monday morning. I pulled up one of the students on stage. I cut his hair, and they went crazy. And they offered me a job. And I only had 1,200 hours. In Virginia, you need 1,500 hours. So I took the job. I did another 300 hours. So I would clock in, work, clock out, clock back in as a student for 300 more hours. Yeah. Then I got my Virginia license. I took the test, got the license. Then I took the instructor's exam, got the license, or instructor exam, right? Instructor license. Then I went through all these levels of certification with Paul Mitchell, because now I'm training people in color, cutting, texture, all these different things, right? So they have these, what they call success coaches, where they will come out and train the educators. Okay. And it was brutal. It was intense. You would have to present in a room on a subject matter. Let's say it was color, and you had to teach level 1 color, right? You had 35 minutes to do this. If you went 36 minutes, you fail. If you went 34 minutes, you fail. If you don't hit and check off all the boxes, you fail. And so there was a lot of tears. People would get upset. You know, it was very stressful. You'd see all the educators stressing out every time a year when that would happen. Yeah. One of the advice that I got from one of the success coaches, I'll never forget, what they said, you know what? I could tell that you are stressed out. I blacked out in the middle of a presentation where I got a migraine so bad where I lost the vision in my right eye. Oh, wow. They call it an optical migraine. It's intense because the stress of doing that, you know, trying to present that information and succeed was so heavy on me because I wasn't prepared. And the person knew that. The person, you know, that was critiquing me knew that. And they said, why don't you record yourself? You want to work on public speaking? Record yourself. Watch the videotape. Like an NFL player studies tape, watch the game. Watch that presentation. And anybody, I say this to anybody out there that wants to be an educator, record yourself. Record yourself speaking. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Watch that tape. Look at things that you do well. Keep those, right? Yeah. Hold on to those. Those are the gems. Look at things that you might need to work on and improve. Improve and work on those. But the only way you're gonna know is if you watch that tape, right? So like if I fly out somewhere and I teach a class somewhere, on the airplane home or in the hotel, I'm watching video of that class so that I can get better each time. And that was something that they taught me at Paul Mitchell. And I still tell people to this day, if you're serious about being an educator, record yourself doing a class and then break yourself down. It's ugly. You know, you may not like everything you see. Right. You know? I think like being an educator is kind of like being a stand-up comedian. You know, you got to get up on that stage and you perform. You perform your little set, your little material, right? And some of your jokes hit, some of your jokes don't. You know? But the only way to get better at it is to work it out. And I think, and I say that with hair cutting techniques. I say that with any craft. Working it out means getting your hands dirty. Working it out means repetition, right? So if you're trying to learn a fade, The first time you grab the clippers, you know, you're all nervous,
Yeah.
you're stiff.
Yeah.
But then you do it a few times, you get your hands dirty, you apply it.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you get your rhythm, your flow. Next thing you know, now you got that repetition where now you can do it, right? You've done it enough times. And it's the same thing with education and public speaking. Same thing with any craft, any trade. You know, I think one of the things you asked in the questions was about social media, right?
Yeah, that was my next question.
and how to utilize social media as a barber, you know, in 2023. You know, how can we utilize social media? And honestly, I can't answer that question for anybody.
Yeah.
That has to be specific to what they're trying to get. Meaning, if you're trying to attract something, it's a tool to do that. So say you want to start cutting ladies' hair. You want to start doing pixie cuts.
Yeah.
And like vivid color. You want to do some color, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cut somebody that's a pixie cut.
Yeah.
Color somebody that's a pixie cut. And then put that on your social media, because that's going to be put out to the universe, right? And then what happens? You put that out there. Now people are looking for you to do that. It's a reflection, right? So I think social media is a reflection of whatever you want to attract.
Yeah.
You know, and if you look at your feed and you see a bunch of negative things, maybe you're looking at the wrong stuff. Maybe you need to start looking at other things, right?
Yeah.
What are you using the tool for? I think people get caught up with likes and follows. I think social media is not about likes and follows. It doesn't matter. What it's about is showcasing your art and putting out your work, and also gaining inspiration from each other and connecting with each other. Those are the two main reasons why I use Instagram as a tool. And that's what it is. It's a tool. And I think for the barber who wants to gain clientele, take pictures of your customers. Put them out on your page. The greatest tip anybody can ever give you is their friends and family. If you take a picture of that person and they show their friends and family, guess who wants to get in your chair? Their friends and family.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's something that people forget about when they're looking at social media, Instagram. You know, what are you trying to attract? What are you trying to put out there? And what are you looking at, right? Because it's a reflection of whatever you're trying to, you know, go for.
Right.
Let me see. Yeah.
No, I love how you looked at my questions and then you really took it in and you brought it to this platform without even, because I love how like you went at it each way.
Oh yeah.
And explained. Yeah, I love how you delivered, how you shared and you was on point with everything. And I love how you shared your like you said, if people want to jump into this area as far as like being instructors and I love how you start from like how you went into it, how you had to really grow, how you had to study the platform, study your movement, study the way you deliver. Like everything is about growth. It's not just some people have it, they can you know snap at it real fast, but at the end of the day you still want to do things where, okay, if I have this, where am I lacking? And how can I grow that if I have this that's already showing people that, okay, they're listening, they love what I'm doing, but you know, I still feel in myself as somewhere I can improve, and I feel like I do that with myself, even with this platform. Like before I get on and I speak with my guests like that, I'm analyzing like, okay, how can I deliver this question where I'm not over like rumbling and getting tongue tied, where I can give it to them directly, and then when it's done, they can come back and snap with their answer. So I love how you shared that. If you like, you know, I don't know what question that stuck out the most to you that you want to jump on, but family, health.
Okay.
How do you deal with that? How do you deal with like health as far as like everything that you're doing? How do you have that medium where you say, okay, I need to relax, I need to give a break for myself?
Yeah.
But I believe you have a young daughter. Are you married or?
So I'm a father of three. I got 3 children.
Yeah.
I'm married.
Yeah.
Let's see, we're going on what, 2023. We're going on 8 years married now.
Yeah.
My oldest is in high school. She's a freshman. Kira, she's in freshman year. My son Joseph's right behind her. He's in 8th grade, and then my youngest is in kindergarten. Luna, she's in kindergarten. So yeah, how do you manage, right? Like, how do you balance, being busy, being successful, going after your goals first, but also managing time to do those other things that we have on our plate, right? I think, one of the major keys for me personally that helps me in life every single day, the biggest thing for me, top of the list, calendar. My calendar. I share a calendar with my wife. So I can see what she has on the calendar. She can see what I have on the calendar. And that's how I live my life. Everything has to be scheduled. Even this interview, I had to have that on the calendar, scheduled to go. And then once it's there, it's set, we do it, I think that's the key. When there's a breakdown in communication, when there's a breakdown in consideration for people's time, whether it be spouse, whether it be your children, whether it be your own time, I think that's where you run into issues. And I think if you map it out on a calendar, you'll be able to have that work-life balance. I think that's the most powerful tool that I own is my phone calendar, because I have everything in there. All my client, I'm behind the chair 5 days a week, and then I'll leave and travel for 2-3 days and teach. So my calendar is very, very tight. And everything, I block off times for my family. I put that in the calendar. It's not just my appointments. I put whatever I'm doing, whether it be personal or business, it goes in the calendar.
Nice.
And I think that's the best way for people to stay active, stay happy, stay balanced. There are going to be times where you have to sacrifice time away from your family, time away from your loved ones. There's times where you have to sacrifice time away from your business, right? And so I think being knowledgeable about where you're spending your time, you'll know if you're leaning one way too hard or the other way too hard. I feel like I could be on all the time. So I have to give myself that step back, like, let me take time to just chill. Let me block off time where I don't do anything. I think everybody, what taught us that was COVID. COVID taught me that before. Because I was on a hamster wheel, man. 2019 was the busiest year of my life. And when it got shut down, it gave me a chance to step back and, like, think about things. It gave me a chance to step back and have a perspective of not being on the grind, and have that perspective of evaluating what my life is like, business and personal, and how can I plan accordingly, right? 2020, I got off that hamster wheel for a little bit. We were shut down for 90 days, and in those 90 days, I probably did about, 20,000 jigsaw piece puzzles. I was playing NBA 2K. I was doing things that I never do, right? I was hanging with my kids, and just kind of, taking a step back so that I can step forward, right? I think sometimes you got to put your hustle on pause, just so you can step aside and get another perspective and see all the things you might not notice if you're always on the grind, right? That's something that I think, you have two types of pictures. You got the macro, the big picture, the goal, your life. Then you got the micro, the little picture, your day-to-day, right? And I think being able to zoom in and zoom out of both of those, and being able to, this comes with practice, man. I may sound like I got all the answers, but I've went through all the mistakes to figure things out, and I learned from my own mistakes. I learned from other people's mistakes. And I think that's the best way to move forward, is to be honest with yourself in what you're trying to do, whatever it is. And then, if you take it on the chin, dust yourself off, get back up, But that's life, I think we wouldn't value anything if we had everything, right? You gotta know what it's like not to have something in order to know how to hustle to get something. If you have everything given to you, you don't value anything, right? So I think that's why we work as hard as we do, because we have goals. And once you get to that goal, me personally, I'm getting ready to hit a big goal where 2023, man, it's like I'm like Fabulous with Bombs. You know that song Bombs by
Yeah.
Fabulous?
Yeah.
Back on my bullshit.
Yeah.
Back to back on my bullshit.
That's my
Back
shit.
to back on my bullshit.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, that was bullshit. Yeah, I'm 23, Jordan, man. This is the year. I feel like, 23 is gonna be an uphill.
Yeah.
I think 24 is gonna be like even better. Because we came out 2022 and it was like it wasn't that easy, right?
Yeah.
2021 even more so.
Yeah.
So I see that 23. My personal goal was to be successful with one of the brands that I work with, Hattori Hanzo Shears.
Okay.
I do a lot of educational classes with that brand. They have the best shears on the planet. And one of my goals was to be one of those top educators within the company. And so in order to do that, you have to put in the work and you have to have numbers. Meaning, yeah, you go places, but the company's also making money when you go to these places, right? You're doing so well getting people to understand the value and the benefit and the tools throughout the class that you're showing techniques that they actually invest in themselves and get the tools. And then by doing that, the company makes money, we make money, the person behind the chair makes money, and it's a win-win all around. But the goal for me was to be one of the top educators within the company.
I like that.
I've been with the company since 2014, but it was always at a part-time, very minimal capacity.
Okay.
So last year, it was actually 2021, around November, December, I was thinking about this. Okay, so now you fast forward, we're in January 23. This is how my mind works. 21, I'm like, okay, I'm going to hit their top sales. And then I'm going to see my name up on that leaderboard. I'm going to get an award for hitting that top level, right? And I went after it, and I got it. And in order to hit that level, you got to put in some work, okay? And what does that do? Why did I do that? And I feel crazy even saying this to you right now, but why did I do those things? Well, in 23, which we're at now, I'm going to be working with the top people, which makes my life easier, right? So now I'm going to make more money and work less. And that was the goal. Meaning not work less like I'm lazy, but not waste time. Right? When I say work less, I'm meaning not waste time. Right? And so
you're making the time work for you.
Right. I'm more efficient.
Yeah.
And so tomorrow morning I'm gonna fly out to Vegas to meet up with everybody, all the sales reps, all the educators. We have this big conference. They're gonna show my name up on that board. Okay. And then I'm gonna look around the room and I'm gonna see all the sales reps that doubted me. Now all of a sudden they're gonna try to come see me. They doubted me last year, right? Because you got to be real. They want to bring in stylists that can work in salons. They don't see value as much in barbering, right? And so that was like a big to them because I want to make sure that they know that we're representing an industry that makes money, that brings value, regardless of its salon or barbershop. I do both.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that people get. They pick their tribal. They get teams. Like I'm on the education team. I don't really mess with sales. I'm on the sales team. It's all Or I'm on the barber team. I don't mess with the salon. Or I'm on the clipper team. I don't mess with the shears. How about you forget about the teams and you become that Navy SEAL?
I love that. I love how you broke that down because it's really like that. It really is, and I love. That's why I wanted to bring you on here and have you share and talk, because what you're saying right now is why separate yourself when you could put all this stuff together and you could capitalize more, like this real life.
Listen, I like being uncomfortable. People are on a team because they're comfortable on that team. And they're comfortable doing what they do. And I challenge everybody to step outside of that and make yourself uncomfortable and try things that maybe the barber next to you is not doing. Right? Maybe switch your clientele up a little bit. You know, maybe switch your pool game up a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe get out from behind the chair a little bit and go out and take classes and study.
You're
But more
right.
importantly, like your last guest was saying, don't just take the class. Apply what you learned in the class.
You're right.
Right? Get out there and get your hands dirty. Right? I love that. I thought that was amazing that he touched on that. He was like, everybody's going out to these barber shows and they're taking classes, but they're not doing nothing with the information. They're going back to being comfortable and doing what they do, right? But yeah, I think that's something, you know, that to lead to your question about how do you earn income without being behind the chair all the time?
Yeah.
Right? And I think that how do you do that? Well, you have to make yourself uncomfortable. You have to step into a different mindset. Maybe you're more focused on product. Maybe you're more focused on, you know, using different tools. Maybe you're more focused on content creation. There's ways that you can make revenue without always cutting the same people every day, day in, day out. And for me personally, as someone who I've asked myself, who am I many times in my career? You know, who am I? Am I a barber or am I an educator?
Yeah.
I have to lean more towards educator because I feel like not everybody can break it down, and I think there's not enough of it, but there's a ton of barbers out there. And if I have both skill sets, I got to focus on that smaller group, meaning I find myself giving more value doing things like this than just making money cutting somebody's hair. I find more value in being able to help other people, the future generations, because I'm getting old. You know, I'm going on 30 years now behind the chair, which is nuts, right? You know, it's a blessing, and I'll probably do another 30 more. You know, but I'm not going to be behind the chair full time. Like you said, how do you balance family and business? And if I wanted to, I could be cutting hair from, you know, sun up to sundown every single day. But is that something that's going to make me happy? Am I going to get burnt out? Is that something that, you know, is going to make my family happy? Like, how do I allocate my time? And I'm honestly going to be shrinking my schedule from being behind the chair. You know, right now I'm about 5 days. I want to get down to probably about 3, maybe even 2 to 3. Yeah. So what does that mean? I got to fire some clients, right? Yeah. I got to get rid of some people. Who am I going to get rid of? Yeah. Well, the people that give me a hard time, the people that reschedule and show up late and don't tip and all these things. Those are the first on the chopping block. Yeah. The OGs that support me and love me and show me love, they're staying. They're the VIPs. Yeah. So I'm going to start with them. Yeah. And then if I have room for more, I'll put more. But that's going to be my core focus behind the chair is those people, right? So, yeah, the more I dive into different things when it comes to education and our industry, the less time I'm actually going to have being behind the chair. But I'll never leave being behind the chair because I did that. I taught at Paul Mitchell for 10 years where I didn't have a clientele, and I was just in education at a school as an instructor. Okay. I lost my skills. I lost my speed. I lost my accuracy. I lost my hunger. I lost my passion. So what did I do? I got behind the chair 1 day a week, then 2 days a week, then 3 days a week. And I built my book back up to now, you know, I was 5 days a week, right? And you asked me, I dodged the question kind of. You asked me about what kind of shop do I work in now? Yeah. Full circle. So now my wife and I, we have our own private studio. Okay. She has her salon side. I have my barber side. I got a thick Anderson patio door in between us for soundproof. When she's blow drying hair on her side and it sounds like a plane's landing, I can close over that thick patio glass door and you hear nothing in here. Soundproof.
Look, I'm sorry. I love that you brought that up. So how do you and your wife come to the medium knowing that she's in the same industry as you? I know you said the calendar.
That's how we met. We met. She was an instructor at Paul Mitchell. We were both teaching together. That's how we met. But what do you mean? What's the question? Like,
okay, like she might have a busy schedule. You might have a busy schedule. You might have to go and take care of the kids maybe a certain week where she has like.
Yeah,
I never. That's good.
we
I love how
share
you
that.
brought that. Yeah.
So remember I said I share a calendar with my
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah.
So, while my kids are in school,
Yeah.
we're working, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes we're working later than others. So days that she's working later, I go pick up the kids,
Yeah.
or, I go pick up my daughter from school, or I'm the one doing, bath and dinner and stuff, depending on the day.
Yeah.
We share that responsibility. It's not just her doing it or me doing it. It's based on each day.
Yeah.
And so the calendar, like I said, man, having that calendar and having things organized is huge, because now we're a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Do we have our hiccups? Yeah, that's life.
Yeah.
But that calendar is huge. She works across from me, so not only do we live together, but we work together, right?
Yeah.
And so the only time we really have separation is when I leave and I travel to do classes, or she leaves and travels to do like weddings.
Yeah.
She does like bridal hair, updos.
That's dope. Yeah.
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 She used to work for a guy, and he was like a terrible salon owner. He had her running the whole salon, but wasn't paying her anything to do that. He was just giving her service money, commission.
Yeah.
And so I told her to leave that place and come work with me. And me and her opened a place together.
That's
And
dope.
it was very small. We started out there small. We were there for 3 years. Then we found another building. Now we have a second floor building that is, private in a commercial space. Not like you wouldn't know we were here. It's a destination. It's not like foot traffic in the strip mall. It's not like
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
We're on the second floor. You don't know we're here unless you know we're here, right?
Right.
It's all appointment based anyway, right?
Yeah.
So she's got her clientele. She does her bridal thing, with the weddings. I have my clientele. I do my education thing. And then across the hall, we have an education room where we can seat about 80 to 100 people. We have a stage. I'll bring you out here. We'll get you out to do like a class or something. We'll put together an event. I got the stage. You could have 3 educators with 3 models on stage. I got 2 monitors on each side where we can set up like an iPad or a phone, and it could zoom in on whatever we're doing and then mirror on the screens. So no matter where you're sitting in the audience, you have a good view. We do hands-on education with actual live models or doll heads where we have space to do that. So we move everything out, and we have floor outlets where we can plug in tools. That education room is a great place for not only hosting classes and where we're doing look and learn style demos, but also hands-on. And I think that's something that we always wanted because we both came from that education world.
Correct.
So we built this place out in 2017, Faded Dream Studios. That was like, okay, now we have our own place where we don't really need anything from anybody. We can do everything in-house.
I love
We want to do video content, podcast stuff. We have capability to do that. I have my office as well, and we got 2 bathrooms, and then we have a room where we have like the laundry, like a dryer, washer, dryer. But everything is us. It's just us. We have one girl that she rents from us. She has her own clientele. We have another girl that rents part-time when we're not here. But other than that, we don't have a large team. It's just me and her. I felt like, if I was ever to do that in the future where I owned a barber shop, I would do it more of a real estate thing. I wouldn't be there every day. I would have somebody else working there. I would rent the chairs to people. I wouldn't want to be there every day with everybody. That's just not for me. I'm not into managing people, and that's one of my things that maybe it makes me uncomfortable. Maybe I need to work on. But I don't want to be that manager person that has to deal with people day to day. I'm too busy for that. So if I ever did do something like that, it would be more of a real estate thing for me. It would be more of like ownership.
No, I mean, understandable. I mean, but what you share, just what you already have right there. I mean, that's amazing. Like to have so many different rooms to, collectively, like with your wife and bring so much more content and build what you guys are building. I mean, shoot, Faded Dreams is magical now.
The name came from, I'm Faded Ink, right?
Yeah.
She's there to dream.
Yeah.
And so together we're Faded Dream.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, man. I'm very blessed. I think that people have have opportunities around them they don't always see, right? Sometimes they overlook things. I'm very grateful for everything that I have and everything that I do, and I look at that every day, and I wake up every day and I think about those things because I know what it's like before.
Yeah.
You know, I know what that's like. You know, I don't want to dive too deep into that, but I think that's something that, you know, being grateful for what you have and being able to share that with other people keeps you grounded, keeps you focused. Once you start losing sight of that and you start getting all Hollywood, man, things start breaking down. That machine starts to break down. You know, I think we talked about almost every topic on your
we did.
on your question list.
Yeah.
One thing the last thing that you asked me, I think, was about what, being positive, right?
Law of attraction.
Law of attraction.
And that's what you was pretty much sharing right there, then and there. But yeah, elaborate a little bit more. Yeah.
I think words are very powerful. Okay, you know, if you say negative things all the time, you're gonna be surrounding yourself with negativity. You're surrounding yourself with negative situations.
Right.
If you say negative things to yourself in your mind, you're going to have negative outcomes. You verbalize those out loud. You say something negative about yourself out loud. That's magic, man. That's powerful. That's going to come back to you.
Yeah.
You know, so even my daughter, like when she gets upset and she's like, nobody likes me and stuff like that, I'm like, whoa, don't say that. Yeah. Don't even think that. In fact, don't ever have those words come out of your mouth because you're giving that power. Mm-hmm. You're giving that's magic that you're putting out there that's bad, right? You to only say good things, you know, and obviously that takes work, takes discipline. But I feel like if you show me your friends, I'll show you who you are. You know?
You're right. Yeah.
You are who you hang with, right?
Yeah.
And you only know what you know until you know something else. And I think that by being open-minded and being able to evolve and grow and connect with people, you start to see those things. And you start to, I'm like a running back. I like to try to get away from people, man, that are negative, right? I'm trying to find that hole and get up out of there, man. Because I'm looking downfield. I'm not trying to get sacked or get, you know, taken down for a loss.
Correct.
You know, and so, you know, sometimes it's family. Sometimes it's friends. Yeah. Sometimes it's managers. Sometimes whoever it is, you start to identify who that person is or who that negative energy is. It doesn't have to be spiritual and religious about Jesus and God and Allah and all that. It's energy, positive and negative, right? And I feel like you surround yourself, you carry yourself with positive energy, you're gonna attract other people like-minded. You know, you're gonna attract those same types of personalities. Same thing with music. You listen to drugged out music, you listen to violent music, you're gonna attract that lifestyle. You know, one time, I'll give you a quick story. One time when I first moved down here from Jersey, I was kind of ignorant, man. I'm gonna be honest. And I went through all these stages of my life of breaking through ignorance, unlearning things that I was taught. You know, I unlearned a lot of stuff, but I was at a nightclub in DC, and one of my friends got into it with another guy in the club, okay? And it turned ugly. There's a lot of shouting. His girlfriend started getting involved. She said something to the other dude, and the dude put his hands on her, and he slammed her on the ground in front of me. I was the closest person to that. I'm standing right there. So as soon as he did that, I approached him, and as soon as I approached him, he put his hands up like this, right? So he had just threw the girl on the ground. He sees me. I come towards him. He puts his hands up like this, right? As soon as he raises his hands past his shoulders like that, I punched him right in his face, and we start fighting, right? Police come. They mace me. They beat up. It was crazy. I had to go to work the next day. Now, in my mind, I was in the right because I was defending somebody that was weaker, you know, a female that was being abused by this male in the club, right? Right outside by the door. We're in New York Avenue in DC, right? In the hood, man, in front of the club, right? Cops come, all this stuff. I'm bleeding. I lost my jewelry. I'm like bleeding. My hands are all messed up. I go into work the next day. I was working at Paul Mitchell. I'm wearing sunglasses because my eyes cut, half my eyes filled with blood. Both my hands are all messed up, swole up. The owner looks at me, sees the sunglasses. He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, and I'm like, "This is young Rory. This is young. Like, this is 2007, let's say."
Yeah.
Okay. And he goes, "What are you doing?" And I pulled the glasses off, and he looked at me. He's like, "You can't be here like that." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You got to go home. What the hell happened? You can't be working like that. People can't see you like that, right?"
Yeah.
And I explained to him what happened. And he goes, "You know what your mistake was?" I said, "What?" He goes, "You even being there. Why were you there? Nothing good happens after 10 p.m.
Not at all.
This is what he told me. Word for word. This is what he told me. And I had never thought of it like that. I never thought of that, the fact that I put myself in that situation by being there in the first place. I didn't even think about that, right? So I took that to heart. Now, this guy who told me this is a multimillionaire, okay? So I'm always looking at what he's saying as, all right, he's onto something. Like, why is he so successful?
Yeah.
So he told me, he's like, "Rory," he's like, "Nothing good happens after 10 p.m. Your first mistake was you even being there in the first place. You knew you had to come to work the next day. Why were you even out like that?" Right? And ever since then, man, I've never put myself in those situations. I've always been the person to kind of say, "Nah, I'm gonna go to bed, or I'll see you guys later." And I focused away from that kind of thing. And to be honest, man, that was a huge pivot turning point for me, because I started to look at my friends and my family, and I started to realize, yeah, I love them, but I might not want to hang with them. I might not want to be around them so much. I might not want to spend so much time with them. In fact, I need to put some distance between me and them. And the military showed me that too. Because when I would come home from leave and I go back to my hometown, I would see things that I didn't notice before, because I had to leave that environment to see how messed up it was. And then when I come back to that environment, now I'm noticing things I never noticed before. So removing yourself from that for a little while is eye-opening, because while you're in it day to day, you don't even understand or see what's happening. You don't even realize that that's going on all the time. And the people that are closest to you may not be the best people for you. And I learned that, and that was something that now it's like, if you're positive, I love you. I'm here. If you're negative, I'm running away. I deal with gossip. If somebody's talking trash about somebody to me, I gotta go. I can't hear that. Like, get out of here, And I tried, and then I could be easily influenced too. I could be that person now. Now I'm the person that's being negative, right? So yeah, being conscious of positive and negative influences, environments, I think that's huge for everybody, no matter what you do for a career in life,
Yeah, Rory, this was awesome. I really appreciate you taking your time out. You could have been anywhere else in the world today, but you decided to come on here and talk your barbership, and I appreciate that. Is there anything that you want to leave, information, your platform, what you got going on? Like,
I mean, come check me out. Obviously here on Instagram. In my profile, there's a website that I've created. It's a library of content of hair education.
I saw that.
fadedreamstudios.com. Best place for online barber education. I have over 100 training videos in that website that we've worked on. Constantly trying to figure out ways to update it and create new content. So 2023, definitely going to be a lot of that. But check it out. Let me know what you think. If anybody's interested in signing up to it, they can sign up for $1. It's only $1 to access the whole library. Okay, with the promo code, right? It's $10 a month if you want to subscribe. It's $100 for the year, and I feel like that's super affordable because I just want to get it out there. I put up, and if you don't want to sign up, that's cool too. I have a ton of free content on my IGTV, on my just regular posts in the reels. But then I do live education too with Hanzo a lot and other companies like Holy Black, based out of New York, awesome product line. I rep them. Faded Culture out of San Antonio, Texas, I represent them. Hanzo Nation, you know, Hattori Hanzo Shears, best shear game in the world. I represent them. So for me, you know, catch me at any of those events. I'm a human being. I'm a real person. If you message me, I get back to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no ego over here. You know, there's no ego at all. And I'll always be that way. I think each year I'm getting better. You know, I get more gray.
Yeah, I'm up there with you.
But yeah, man, as a husband, as a father, as a barber, man, I appreciate everything. And you know, like I said, I love what you're doing. You know, 2023, like I said, we're already in the mix of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll be in Vegas tomorrow.
Yeah.
For the conference, and then I got Baltimore, I got Seattle, I got a bunch of stuff going on. Birmingham, Alabama, San Antonio again. You know, so yeah, and that's just until March. So yeah, let me know if you need anything, man. I'm here for you. If I can support you, I'm more than happy to help grow you and your brand and what you're doing. And I appreciate you even taking the time to reach out to me. I'm glad we were able to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely, man. This was awesome. Like I said, I couldn't ask for anything more. You came, you delivered, and I wish you nothing but extra success. That everything that you got going on, every challenge that you put in front of you, and all the walls that you're gonna kick down this year and moving forward. So I wish you and your wife nothing but more success. And I thank you again. And yeah, if I have some questions about the shear game, I definitely will be hitting you up.
Yeah, man. Thank you. You know, I studied those questions.
I know, man.
You can tell.
I love it.
I studied those questions.
I was like, I didn't have to do nothing. All right, man. Have a blessed one and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, man.
Likewise, man. Thank you.
Man.
Peace.